I kind of looked up and then he dropped the towel. So I just...
In front of me.
Welcome to WatchMojo UK, and today we're looking at the ongoing controversies around MasterChef and its former stars.
It's now being reported that Mr. Wallace has been banned from ever working at the BBC due to their concerns.
It was one of the biggest TV scandals of 2024 when Gregg Wallace, MasterChef's resident greengrocer, had a bevy of allegations made against him.
Why on earth didn't John Torode, as his colleague, or any of the other production players on that team say to Gregg Wallace, stop in your tracks, my friend, stop taking off your underwear?
That November, it was revealed that the BBC was investigating half a dozen claims made against Wallace about his behaviour on the set of MasterChef. Those first claims dated between 2005, when MasterChef began, and 2022, and it was also revealed that Wallace had been investigated before for making inappropriate comments to a female member of the production while presenting inside the factory.
Alongside the malt extract, this will add that all-important sticky texture to my loaves.
Oh, that's lovely. Can I have some of that for me ice cream?
This led to him leaving that show, but the following year, all his chickens came home to roost when these new claims were made public about his MasterChef behaviour.
He got in the taxi and we're going on the journey, and within about a minute or so, he asked the driver, can I ask you a question?
Initially, the complaints were all about blue language and inappropriate remarks, like talking extensively about his sex life and boasting about how good a time he had with his significantly younger wife to colleagues.
And I said to him, this is not the way to behave, is this it? You know, this is long before all this came out.
But then they took on a different colour, with more women alleging groping and at least one person saying she went into his dressing room one day after being summoned. She alleges that he pulled his trousers down, wasn't wearing underwear, and briefly held her down on the sofa.
I mean, at the time I just thought he's just desperate for attention.
More chilling, she says she reported it at the time and was dismissed by members of the production, who suggested that what happened wasn't disturbing because she was an adult. She brought this complaint back to the attention of investigators in the wake of the inquiry being launched.
But people are scared of addressing the top bods in these shows because they're given a culture of preeminence, of untouchability.
Investigations also found that Wallace was given a warning in 2017 for an incident, something he himself denied. Other allegations included Wallace asking one woman, who was a lesbian, about the logistics of how that worked and said he found it fascinating. And others alleged that he would mime sexual acts around female members of the crew.
So this is what Gregg Wallace said to me in a restaurant. If you won't let me sleep with you, would you lick my arse?
But this time, it wasn't only frightened anonymous members of the production crew speaking out against Wallace. The castle walls tumbled down when many famous women also revealed they'd had run-ins with him.
He was there with his wife, or I think she might have been his girlfriend. She left the room and he made a comment about what they did in the bedroom.
Among those who spoke out were Kirsty Wark, Kirsty Allsop, Charlotte Crosby and Sir Rod Stewart, who came to the defence of his wife Penny Lancaster after she had some unpleasant encounters with Wallace while filming Celebrity MasterChef.
I just thought, God, I wonder if she knows that he says those things when she leaves the room. She was quite a lot younger than him, and it was a sort of comment he seemed to be showing off.
In response to this, Wallace made a very ill-advised statement on Instagram, saying that he didn't put any store in the allegations because they'd been made by middle-class women of a certain age, oblivious to the fact that those high-profile stars are the only ones able to make public allegations like this without their careers being completely destroyed.
Now, in the newspaper, I can see the complaints coming from a handful of middle-class women of a certain age just from Celebrity MasterChef.
Many more said that Wallace's behaviour was seen as part and parcel of being on MasterChef at all. Finally, the ghostwriter for Wallace's memoir, Life on a Plate, also spoke out, in a tell-all TV interview for which she wasn't paid and seriously risked her own career, since ghostwriters are meant to remain anonymous.
And he started telling me about these dates, who the women were, where he'd met them, and then in very graphic details what sexual acts they had done together.
She said that when she arrived at his house to work on the book, he was only wearing a towel and continually talked about his sex life.
He talked just in incredibly sexual detail, which at the time it was just so shocking because it was completely unnecessary for the book.
He also made sexually explicit comments towards her that we won't repeat here, but they're in her full Newsnight interview while they were in a restaurant. After deleting that statement, Wallace made some more statements about how the allegations were all baseless and he was going to fight them.
I want to apologise for any offence that I caused with my post yesterday and any upset I may have caused to a lot of people.
Meanwhile, MasterChef co-host John Torode distanced himself from Wallace amid rumours that he'd also brought Wallace's behaviour to the attention of the show. Wallace was suspended from MasterChef, with episodes already filmed featuring him pulled from broadcast, while an investigation was launched between the BBC and MasterChef's production company, Banijay.
I've been under a huge amount of stress, a lot of emotion. I felt very alone, under siege yesterday when I posted it.
Months on, in July 2025, and the results of that investigation emerged. Wallace was sacked from MasterChef for good after claiming that the most serious allegations were unfounded.
He disappeared and then he came back and he said, oh, actually, my trousers that I need, I've left them there. And it was right, they were just folded behind the cushion that I was sat on.
But overall, half of the 80 or so allegations against him were upheld by the investigation, many of them about inappropriate comments or touching. Following this, though, Wallace revealed he was going to sue the BBC for discrimination for sacking him, on the basis that he's autistic.
And he accused the makers of the programme for failing to, quote, investigate my disability or protect me from what I now realise was a dangerous environment.
He was only diagnosed a few years ago, but has now gone public about it, after being dropped by an autism charity in 2024, following the first batch of allegations, saying that he was not duly protected by the production.
Disability charities have criticised the former MasterChef judge, Gregg Wallace, for appearing to link his recent autism diagnosis with allegations of inappropriate behaviour.
As you may expect, disability rights groups and autistic people have spoken out against this, saying that autism is not an excuse for routinely sexually harassing people for the better part of 20 years. Especially not when he'd already been very specifically told off at least once, with many more complaints made.
A spokesperson for Gregg Wallace has said he denies engaging in behaviour of a sexually harassing nature.
Bizarrely, his autism diagnosis was the reason he gave for his habit of never wearing any underwear, saying he had sensory issues around it. If you are, or know an autistic person, this might ring true, but Wallace was specifically saying that these sensory issues were the reason why, for instance, women would find him not wearing any trousers when they were asked to go into his dressing room. Although, in the case we previously mentioned, where he pushed someone down on the sofa, he was allegedly wearing a sock down there.
No, I think at the point where Gregg runs out of his dressing room wearing only a sock and shouts, hooray, somebody somewhere has to say, Gregg, mate, you can't work again if you're going to do that.
Exactly.
That's not the end of the story, though, because the same week it was also revealed by the inquiry that there had also been an allegation of racist language that was upheld, but not against Gregg Wallace, against John Torode.
The matter has been formally discussed with John Torode by Banijay UK, and whilst we note that John says he does not recall the incident, Lewis Silkin have upheld the very serious complaint.
He'd previously missed the scrutiny that Wallace had been put under, and MasterChef looked set to continue with Torode and another co-host. But after he admitted that the claim was about him, while denying that he remembered saying it, it was announced that his MasterChef contract wasn't going to be renewed.
Frankly, it was a serious racist term.
Stories popped up in The Sun, soon circulated by the other tabloids, that Torode had at first been ordered to quit the show by the BBC and blame it on his suffering mental health. When he refused, they pushed him out of the door without even giving him any warning to get ahead of the story, or make any kind of preemptive announcement. Torode released a statement that was far more balanced and PR savvy than Gregg Wallace's women of a certain age blunder, but it wasn't enough.
We're asking about Torode here because it is a bit confusing when he says, I don't know what I'm supposed to have said and I don't think I said it. But he then adds confusingly, it's me they're talking about.
Now, MasterChef, one of television's biggest cooking shows, has been left without either of its revival's original hosts. So, what's going to happen next? Well, Wallace seems to be convinced that he does have a discrimination case, so we'll likely hear more about that in the coming months.
I want to get even fitter and even stronger. I want to get down to 11.5 stone.
He's also apparently started a new career as a personal trainer, charging people £200 a month to make use of his fitness expertise after his well-publicised weight loss journey. Whether anybody actually wants Gregg Wallace to be their personal trainer remains to be seen.
We see no reason why I can't keep getting fitter and stronger all the way into my 70s. If I can have this impact now on people at 57, imagine the impact I can have at 75.
Torode, meanwhile, might be able to recover and return to broadcasting, since he's also a popular face on ITV, often appearing on This Morning as a celebrity chef. We also, in the aftermath of the Gregg Wallace allegations, saw similar allegations made against Gino D'Acampo, who's also been off screens for a while.
It was in between shots, and Gino turned to me and in front of everybody said that he would like to turn me over and me up the against the kitchen counter.
It's most recently been reported that D'Acampo is going down under to try and resurrect his culinary career, though he's nowhere near as much of a pariah as Gregg Wallace.
And after rejecting his advances, he said I should keep an open mind and he'd keep his knob clean next time.
Presumably, MasterChef will continue with a new celebrity chef and food critic duo at the helm. We already saw food critic Grace Dent step in as Wallace's replacement on Celebrity MasterChef alongside Torode, so potentially she could return, though we don't know yet. Other celebrity chefs now running the gauntlet to replace Torode, according to the bookies, include Andy Oliver and Tom Kerridge, with other seasoned TV chefs James Martin and Nigella Lawson also supposedly on the cards.
As I said, Gregg Wallace is denying the allegations. It's reported he is going to sue the BBC for discrimination.
Who do you think should be the new MasterChef hosts? Or should the whole show just be cancelled? Let us know in the comments.
He suddenly asked me, what would you think if I put some of the eaten mess you're eating on my willy then?